If you've ever been at a horse show, you might have noticed that riders have a few different ways that they'll ride the canter. So you might see some sitting the canter, maybe half seating, maybe even posting or two-pointing. And each of these has their own use for riding the canter, and it really depends on you and your horse. So we're going to go through some of these today, and I'll explain the use for each one of these ways to ride the canter. I'm Julia, this is Rumba, and you're watching my weekly show here at the EC Network. So to start, I want to explain the sort of position that we want to be riding in the canter from a static position. So what I'm going to do is just turn Rumba here. So when I'm sitting the canter, really nothing in my position changes. I still want that classic ear, shoulder, hip, ankle alignment. I still want that my elbow to bit or corner of mouth. I still want that contact. I want to be following the motion with my pelvis, but I don't want to be, sometimes you'll see people ride the canter and they sort of look like they're polishing the saddle. That's not what we're looking for. Additional movement can throw off the horse's balance and really just get in their way. So we just want to stay soft in our core. So letting your belly go, staying soft in the lower back and flat in the lower back so that we can follow their movement without getting in the way. So that's sort of the static position of riding the canter. When I half seat the canter, basically a half seat is, think of like half of a 2-point. So when you go into the half seat, I'm going to take a slightly more forward position. So instead of, I want to make sure that I'm hinging from my hip joint. So instead of just collapsing through here, I'll take a slightly forward position through here, and I'm going to come out of the saddle just a little bit. Now, this is going to be a little bit easier when I have her motion underneath of me, so I'll show you that in motion, but I just wanted to show you the basics of it here in a static position. So I'll be a little bit out of the saddle. When I'm posting, it's sort of the same thing where I'm kind of going from that sitting position to the half seat, sitting to the half seat. And then if I'm in a 2-point, again, it's going to be a little less dramatic here in a static position, but I want the hinge at my hip. I still want that flat back, that classic alignment again. So I'm going to bring my leg's going to come a little bit more forward to keep my foot underneath of my center of gravity. You might need to shorten your stirrups if you are doing the 2-point at the canter, just to make it a little bit easier to keep that alignment. But this is the position that I'm going to hold. Now, I'm going to go out and demonstrate some of these for you and explain why I'm using each of them. So I like to sit the canter if I want to feel a strong connection in the saddle with my horse. So let's say it's a day where she's maybe a little more fresh. She's looking at things. I want to feel secure. I'm going to stay here, sitting and following her movement so that I know if she were to shy at something, I'm staying in my really secure position, ready for something to happen. I'll also sit the canter if I'm asking for her to stretch through her top line and come into a better frame. I find that sometimes that allows me to get a little bit more reach of her underneath of her body, like you're seeing here. So I can just have a little bit more of a connection, and I can be focusing on what I'm asking. Here, I'm in a half seat, and I'll often half seat the canter if she's a little dead to the leg, which she's feeling a little quiet right now. So by half seating, I'm getting off of her back and allowing her to move out without my weight on her back. If I'm doing longer canter sets, I'll often half seat, if I'm jumping around a course, sometimes between fences, I'll half seat, give her a little bit of a break. That also leads us into posting the canter. So if I'm sitting and then I'm spending one stride in the saddle, one stride out. This can be a great exercise if you're feeling the rhythm of the canter and just getting used to feeling the striding of your horse. And it's sort of a happy medium between sitting and half seating the canter. So you're getting that choice, that opportunity to make the connection and create better movement from them, but you're also getting off of their back. And it's nice to work with horses who maybe are a bit behind the leg, because you're able to sit, drive them forward, but then also give them the break of getting off of their back. Now, the last thing I'm going to demonstrate is the 2-point at the canter. It's going to be a little less of a hinge at my hip than if I was going over a fence, because I'm not going to change the length of my stirrup. So the higher the fence, the more the fold, and the more the stirrup will come up. So because we're not going over a fence, we're just going to let her come to us, but we're still going to be in that classic 2-point position. And just to give you a little bit of background about the 2-point, the 2-point got its name from the 2 points of connection. So this is the first point, this is the second point. That's where the 2-point got its name from. So that's the one thing we're going to think about in the 2-point in the canter. And she's feeling a little lazy. So this will be a good exercise for both of us. Come on. So I'm not gripping with my knee, but there's contact on the saddle. I'm hinged forward at my hip, and I've got contact here on the mane. The biggest reason to be doing the 2-point in the canter is for a rider exercise, to get you more comfortable and conditioned in the 2-point. If you're having trouble holding it, don't stay in this position. Do it for a couple of strides and come back. I'm not a huge fan of holding the mane to help you balance, because we're not trying to just develop strength. It's really about staying within our limits. And if you're not able to hold it and you have to use the mane, you're not ready to be holding the 2-point that long. So it's better to hold it for when you can. Maybe just start with a stride or two, sit for a couple strides, come back to the 2-point, wait till you catch your breath, go back. It's really like working back and forth in your comfort level, and it's better to practice these things with good quality rather than quantity. So I think a lot of times we want to just be really good at something, so we think doing more of it's the answer. It's not always the answer. It's better to just do things correctly and build those really good habits. So these are a few different ways I like to ride the canter, and it really depends on what I'm looking for in that particular ride. If I want to work on something for myself, if we're working on strides with her, if I'm jumping, it really just depends on what my goals are. You can use any one of these techniques to ride the canter as a part of your routine to develop your skills in the saddle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment down below. Tell me your favorite way to ride the canter and which one of these you want to try during your next ride. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to never miss another video.